this is one of the battles I chose to try to fight early on in my low carb is like, why are we calling low carb ketogenic unsustainable? We have just an unlimited number of options of things you can create that are low carb ketogenic friendly. So the argument that, oh, how could you go without this for the it's that's kind of one of the silly ones on the other side that they try to pull out that I don't think is really
Yeah.
all that accurate, I guess.
It does come down, circling back to the original topic, I suppose, of creating something that's palatable to a new user.
Mm-hmm.
And that may or may not include a low carb apple crisp recipe. Like, I'm not against these things as tools. But I do think it requires like responsible and appropriate messaging. Um, and yeah, I mean, I think it's fun and creative. I think that my pecan and coconut manna and honestly butter laden chocolate cake is the best for weight loss and would I recommend it for like your starting journey? No, but it's like use case for where you are.
Yeah.
I have no issues.
Well, Nick, I'm on like a 4 or 5 thousand calorie diet, so I'll take that recipe.
Yeah, how's your training right now? Are you training for something specifically, or is that
Yeah,
just your
I've got
basal?
I've got usually it's not quite that high on average. I'm probably more like 3 or 4 thousand on average, but right now I'm kind of on the final phase of training for a 100 miler. So that usually just means a lot more low intensity, high volume. So for some perspective, I did, if you look at, I'm finishing up the fourth week here, but this is where it'll end up. I went 130, 140, 100, 150 miles as the last four. And then I'll do a
Wow.
2 week taper and race 100 miles. So yeah,
What
you
does
get
your
a,
daily diet look like? I'm sure everybody listen. I'm asking for the listeners who are like, that's the question that's going to everybody's mind right now. Is like, I
yeah.
want him to now say what he eats in a day.
The hardest part is like, or one of the reasons that where I've kind of gotten, I'll just back up a little bit. Like my inputs from a macronutrient standpoint have been pretty consistent since I took about maybe a year and a half, 2 years to really fine tune like what I wanted from a macronutrient ratio through different phases of training. And then it became a point of, okay, I know this is what works for me now. Where do I get these inputs? So I've done everything from like mostly plant-based to mostly animal-based with those inputs. And what I find the biggest challenge is when you get up to like those bigger days like that is you hit like so many like things so early. You have to find like low volume, high energy inputs so you don't just end up like having like an ungodly amount of fiber on board and things like that. So, for me, it's like, one thing I'll lean on real heavily like this time is like just olive oil. Like I'll put out like instead of adding, I might have like a stir fry or something for dinner. So if I'm in like off season, I'll just have the stir fry. But this point training, I might be putting hundreds and hundreds of calories of olive oil on it. Um, yeah, so like a lot of, or the other one is like I'll be making eggs. Well, I'm gonna like put in some heavy cream or like cheddar cheese on top of that and just load up the calories there. So I'm getting more fat and less extra protein and other volume along the way for it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, people are interested. I actually have a couple Instagram posts that I did during this training block that go over just kind of what I ate in a day. So I think there's two of them up there right now, and I'll probably do another one this week because this week it'll be a little more. I've got one that's like 3,500 calories, one that's like I think 41, and then I'll probably try to get one that's like reflective of like, oh yeah, you just ran 150 miles this week. You're probably having some days that are maybe closer to 5,000, so people can get kind of a more like overall perspective of it.